Hello, everybody. How's it going? This is, I think, something that we've been calling Kurosawacast, but we're still kind of workshopping, I think, the name.
Yeah.
Last week we did Ikiru. We talked through it. And this week we were talking about Rashomon, another of
Hmm.
Akira Kurosawa's films. Um, Generally, the kind of, I will give a synopsis real fast, but the synopsis of the film is um, there is there are a couple people kind of in the ruins of a building who are kind of reflecting on events that they witnessed, and they tell this story of several people giving accounts of the same interaction, and they're all totally different, and each kind of reflects the brokenness of the other, and then it comes to kind of a resolution at the very end. But a lot of people focus on these like different perspectives that change how we see a similar interaction. Is that a
Mm-hmm.
pretty good kind of
That's a pretty
basic
good
summary?
summation. Yeah. And also another thing to note is this film was based on two novels
Mm.
by Ryunosuke Atagawa. I'm probably butchering the name. It's two short stories. So it was Rashomon and In the Grove.
Yeah.
In a grove, not in the grove. But yes. I think that's kind of nice little detail to add.
And this is also from 1950. So 2 years before Ikiru.
Yes. Yep. And this was, from what I remember listening over it, this was like one of his first big films that caught wind. So, what, like, some Italy Film Festival or something like that caught wind of it and said, "We want that. Give us this." And Japan said, "Why? It's made for Japanese audience. You don't get it. We want it though. It looks good."
What's
Typical Japanese cinema.
Yeah, I mean, what's interesting to me about this one is like this is one of the first Akira Kurosawa movies I saw. Um and uh which was, I don't know, probably almost 10 years ago. Nah, maybe not 10 years ago. Like 7 years ago at this point. Um and I remember this is one of those movies that people just kind of bring up randomly in a conversation. They'll just say like, they're like, "Oh, it's like Rashomon." And you're like,
Yep.
what are you talking about? And so that kind of
Yep.
convinced me to watch this, and this kind of got me down the rabbit hole of watching Akira Kurosawa in the first place.
Yeah. Mine was Ran, but it's a
That was your
different story.
first? Was Ron?
That was I Ran was first, but not the first time I've heard of Kurosawa
Oh,
because
okay.
I took that film class
Mm-hmm.
back freshman year of college, and so that was my big intro to Kurosawa, understanding of like how Western uh, gunslinger films stole basically samurai films and just copied them.
Yeah. The, I mean, the Fistful of Dollars being like a shot for shot remake of Yojimbo is kind of the
Yep.
famous one.
And then Seven Samurai was like what was the
Magnificent
one?
Seven.
The Magnificent Seven.
Yeah,
So
it's fair.
and other ones, but yeah,
Still, my mind is still blown the fact that Ron was your first. Did we watch? Was that the one you watched
we
with
watched
us?
that together.
Okay,
Yeah, that was when we watched it together.
got
Yeah.
it. Yeah. For everybody else, we've been watching these movies like for this series apart, and we kind of come together and talk about our notes. That's kind of the structure for this. But
Yeah.
Ryan and I have seen a good number of Akira Kurosawa movies together in person.
Yeah.
But yeah. So Ryan, what did you where did you want to start with Rashomon?
I think let's start with the initial thoughts. As this film is a lot of just thought, I would think. Um, Obviously, this film plays a lot with the relativity of like reality,
Mhm.
and it plays a lot with it. And so, like, I was very like first time I watched it, because it's the second time watching it, you kind of are appreciative of how Kurosawa directed this, because you have, what would you say, 5 or 6 main characters? 6, right?
It depends on
You have the
where you
monk.
place the priest. I think that's the.
Yeah,
I think if you count the priest as a main character, you have about 7.
yeah, something like that. It's not a big cast
No.
when you look at it, but like when you watch the film, it's broken down like 3 different like plays of time. So you have the present time we're playing in, the trial, and then the actual events.
Yeah, so it's almost like
It's a
there's
story and a
three
story and a
flashbacks going
story.
on, right? There's a framing device around the entire movie.
And it's already we're breaking reality by doing this strange story and a story and a story kind of telling.
Yeah, and then he's telling a story of a trial in which people are telling stories about what actually happened.
Of him. Yep. And then when we're on the trial, us as the audience is the judge.
Yeah, it's very like clearly the camera is located with the witness facing you, explaining what's happening. And they're actually looking at the camera doing it.
Yeah. And then I also found it interesting how some of the scenes, especially in the flashbacks, could just be watched as a silent film.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how Kurosawa kind of directed it. Was he was taking a lot of inspiration from the silent film era and putting it into that. And so you have a lot of big facial movements, a lot of big emotions expressed that way. So I did think that was interesting too. Like,
I think the revelation I had was the first time I watched this, and the kind of the way people talk about this movie or this film is as kind of delving into the unreliability of narratives or something like that, of everybody kind of has a different way of seeing the world, and it's totally different. And so kind of the first time I watched the movie, I kind of saw it through that lens. But watching it again, the framing device is kind of the key of like, this is about a broken world, and how do you deal with living in a broken world?
mm-hmm.
And there was a lot more focus on that the second time I watched it. And so I thought that was I don't know, I feel like I got something a lot more than I did the first time I saw this movie.
Yeah, I definitely can get that and get more into it, especially I think it's most prevalent at the
very end, yeah.
At the very end, which fascinatingly was a scene that might not have been included originally. So it was only later added.
Got it. I had forgotten about that scene. I only remembered once I saw it again that I was like, oh yeah, this is part of the movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's not. I definitely found that part interesting, but my question to you, and because I listened to the voiceover of it, like some dude talking about the film, who do you think the director's voice in this was?
Wait, who the director? What?
Who's the director's voice? So you have a lot of films that have directors putting their own voice in it.
Mm-hmm.
Most prominently, you can think of, why am I blanking on his name? Kill Bill director.
Tarantino.
He puts himself in the films.
Mm-hmm.
He uses his own voice. But you have other voices being put into any other film.
Yeah.
So,
I think.
Who do you think?
If I had to guess, right, and I guess part of me is reading myself into it. I think the kind of the main like storyteller, the guy who initially stumbles on the crime, who later is revealed to have stolen from the crime scene. I think that's kind of the narrative voice, like that's who the director kind of like takes the place of, and this whole film is him struggling with like this pull of the brokenness of the world, but then how do you stand against it? Is there anything worthwhile to side with? And the guilt of that. And that's kind of the way I saw it. I was like, oh, this is Akira Kurosawa kind of wrestling with this question.
What would you think if the director's voice was through the monk?
I think...
Because this was pointed out to me when he was mentioning this. The director's voice would be the monk's, because the monk had no part in the story.
Mm-hmm.
He just observed the couple. He didn't take part in the crime. He was just there as a witness.
Yeah.
And it's through his voice that he's contemplating this reality. To me, I can get why the director's voice would be through the monk, or at least his narrative perspective.
I think the one kind of
thoughts?
characterizing bit about the monk, because the monk for the most part is kind of he does not have a lot of role in this story. It's only at the very end when he picks up the crying child, and he's holding the crying child, and the storyteller comes to him and asks for the child, and he rebukes him and says, oh, you want to try to take something from him too? And it's this moment of like fear, lashing out. There's pain there, and then this kind of resolution. The priest recognizing that to trust in the goodness, you have to kind of accept people's like you have to forgive people basically, and you also have to like accept their repentance to a certain amount, and playing with that idea. So I could see Kurosawa kind of going from that perspective of like, I'm the one sitting on everything, and I'd maybe judge these people too harshly, and maybe this is his processing. But the priest is just such an interesting character to me. Like he's just so outside of everything. Like he's very separated from pretty much the entire story. Even the stranger who comes in to listen to the story is more,
the commoner.
more involved.
Yeah, the commoner is more involved. And more so, I see the commoner as like us in a lot of ways. As he plays the role to basically a T. The commoner will steal whatever it takes to get by or do whatever. So
because everybody else does, so why not just follow through, right?
Yeah. Why not do what everyone else is doing in this story? But those are kind of my initial reactions I got from the film. Is like framing devices he used, different ideas, that. So I don't know. You have anything?
I think another thing is how every narrative told throughout the film, except for maybe the court scene account, but every specific narrative about this event that happens in the woods is incorrect in one way or another. Each one leaves out a major feature, but it also has a major truth to it, right? There's something that's true about every single one of them, but there's something that it clearly leaves out to protect the image of the person who's telling it. So for people who are unfamiliar, the whole movie centers around this event that happens in the woods that involves a samurai dying, a woman being abused in some way, and kind of the outcome of that whole event, like how those events occurred and what was involved with them. And each of the major kind of characters, the dead man, the bandit, and the woman, each give an account, but each one is extraordinarily different from one another, and tends to frame the person who is telling it in the best light out of any of them. And then tends to castigate the other characters as being the evil ones. So the bandit, for example, he's able to kill with honor. or kill the samurai with honor. He basically is able to seduce the woman, and she is wanting to come with him. And it's only at the very end she gets scared and she runs away. But he's like, I still won the best of all this. I got everything I wanted, and I got it without having to break any taboos to do it, basically. Or just enough taboos that are acceptable to me. And I'm able to honorably kill.
He broke some taboos.
He does, but he basically says, like, throughout the entire thing, like, I think the only taboo he really breaks is, like, he ties up the samurai. For the other parts, like, he's able to seduce the woman in his mind, basically. At first, he says, like, oh, I would have taken her, but she gave in, or something like that. So, like, he's able to basically frame this whole thing as being like, him in the best light possible. And then, you know, the woman says, you know, she's scorned by everybody. She's being, you know, harmed by everybody. And then the dead man reframes the story. Reframes the story as being, you know, he's betrayed by both the samurai and the woman, and he's just like, you know, there's so much shame and kind of anger built up about this betrayal that he'd be better off without any of them.
And then you have the woodcutter.
Mm-hmm.
Tells a whole different frame. Yeah.
And you reveal that, you know, each of them have a thing that is true in there, but also leaves out a lot. And then the twist of the movie is that it turns out he's left out something. That he himself, in some ways, not only did he leave out telling the story to the court, he left out the fact that he had some involvement in stealing valuable items from the scene of the crime.
Yep. Yeah. That is exactly the thing. So we have essentially 4 different tellings of one story. But what we do know that's true that happened, a samurai is dead, a dagger has been stolen, and a woman has been done things. Mm-hmm. This is what we know to be true, but what led to it.
Yeah.
And that's still hard for us to acknowledge, because even for me, hearing the woodcutter story, how much of his story is actually true versus how much of the dead man story is true, and so on and so forth.
I think what's interesting too is that the film sets it up as such a like an archetypal like situation, right? It's the samurai on the road with the woman, and they're traveling along, and in your mind you're like, oh, this is like the perfect relationship. This woman is the most beautiful woman, and she captures the attention of the bandit, and there's this like mythical quality that kind of builds up about these characters. And the bandit almost kind of leans into some of that. But then as soon as you get some of these relationship dynamics between the characters, you begin to understand that this relationship between the samurai and the woman it's much more fraught than we originally understand. And these people are a lot more broken in many ways than we would have predicted.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely more brokenness in this story.
Yeah.
That was definitely some themes I saw. I'm like, this is interesting. Like, not only that we had a shaman come in to bring back the dead man. That was an interesting scene.
There's a seance just part of the way through the movie.
It's like,
also how trustworthy
kind of break reality
is the seance, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's another aspect that we're breaking reality. We're like, we have to accept that this is working and there is a dead man at the trial now.
Yeah.
So it's kind of the funny part about this film is it slowly breaks your reality of what is truly going on here. Mm-hmm. So
I think we
definitely.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, you go.
I was going to say, I think it would be helpful to kind of break through the framing device, because I think that might be the next step to kind of understanding the
Yeah.
movie. Because the movie starts with a huge storm, and it's kind of going on through the entire
Yeah.
telling of this larger story is, and there's this torrent, a flood that's hitting this gate of the city of Rashomon. I think it's a gate.
Just it is a gate, and it's just like broken. It's torn. It's seen better days, essentially,
I might
and it's just like
be misremembering, but I think they
it's
say something like a demon attacked Rashomon and it was destroyed. Oh no,
yeah.
it was okay, so no, it was human armies that destroyed Rashomon, and
Mm-hmm.
the evil of humanity scared the demon that lived in Rashomon. That it was like, even
Yep.
the evil presented by humanity is so horrible that even the demons flee, because of how horrible humans are, is the story that they tell about Rashomon.
Yeah. Yeah. Rashomon is pretty much in ruins. It's raining hard, as they said, Kurosawa had to bring out so many to shoot those scenes, like fire trucks and that they put black ink into the actual water to
Oh,
get
okay.
the water to show up.
I mean, it
So
looks amazing.
it looks amazing, and it's amazing that you're able to capture that on like 1950s technology on black and white.
Yeah. And so you have this almost like apocalyptic kind of appearance, right? It's the end of the world. There's a flood coming. It's kind of wiping out everything. You're there in the ruins of this building. It's desolate. There's only two people who are hanging out in the ruins, and I don't think they build a fire. I think they just look despondent. And then the commoner who kind of comes by is the one building a fire out of the wood left in the ruins of this gate. And it's almost,
It's
again,
also important
post-apocalyptic.
to
Yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
oh, sorry. And it's also important to note we're kind of set in 12th century Japan, so
Mhm.
technology and like automation's not there.
Yeah. And so there's like a lot of, I mean, it's clear that this building is like very handcrafted, was kind of used to be glorious, and now is, completely falling apart.
Yeah. It's good stuff. Yeah. And then the commoner comes in. Basically, we get the woodcutter and the monk just looking despondent, confused, just like us in the rain and the rune we're in, essentially. And the commoner basically asks, "What's up your butt?" Essentially, what's going on? And they basically explain, we just experienced this story that just makes no sense, and there's no sense to be made out of this story and this trial.
Mhm.
And the guy's like, explain that to me. What do you mean it's no sense? And then we get into kind of our first flashbacks
Yeah.
with at least like the woodcutter explaining he came across a body, it was dead, and then we hop in the trial. And then the monk explains, yeah, I ran across them. I saw them. But that's all he had to roll in.
Yeah.
And then for the rest of the trial, the woodcutter and the monk are sitting in the background.
Mm.
And so they're observing the trial as we observe the trial.
But all this time, the commoner is kind of commenting on this stuff, and he doesn't seem very bothered by any of this. Whereas, like, the other two seem like they're despondent. They're kind of in mourning. They're just kind of perplexed. And the commoner's just like, oh yeah, like that's funny. Like, that people lie, people die all the time. Like, why is this weird to you?
Yeah. He kind of makes a joke out of it in a lot of ways.
Mm-hmm.
And it's how he reacts to this whole stuff. And it makes you question what he has to go through as the commoner and what he sees.
Mm-hmm. Um, yeah, and then pretty frequently throughout the film, there are these interactions between the commoner and the priest. And the priest will kind of talk about how he firmly believes in a human soul, that there's goodness in the world, that there's something worthwhile. And the commoner just says, "Stop preaching at me." He's very like, he does not accept any of it. He wants to kind of not have to deal with it. He firmly believes that there is like, evil is at the center of the world. Kind of is probably his perspective to a certain extent, or as much as what we might call evil. I don't know if he would call it that, but
Yeah. Yeah, he wants to believe there is good, and if you look in a Christian perspective, there is, but there's also evil as well.
Mhm.
But the commoner is just like, everything's evil. He has like kind of almost not a Nietzschean kind of perspective,
It's
but
more
like
nihilist.
a very
It's
nihilist, yeah.
yeah.
And it's like, who cares? And it's like, it was a perspective prevalent during this time, I would say. Post-war Japan, to implement that in.
Well, yeah, we can go into
Also
the
probably
historical
12th century.
context. I think that actually is extremely helpful for this.
Yeah.
Because this is post World War II. This is post atomic bomb. Within, not even livable memory. Like it's not that long ago at this point. It's probably like
it's
5
like
years.
a few years. Yeah. It's there, and the remnants are there, and the people are still.
It's an ongoing
weeping
reality.
over deaths. It's an ongoing thing, like Allied occupation, all that is going on right now. So.
Oh, you there, Ryan? Oh, I think you cut out. You there?
Yeah, I'm back.
Okay. I missed that last little bit. Allied occupation.
Yeah, that was it.
Okay.
We're in Allied occupation time.
Yeah. Well, and then I think it lines up well with this kind of end of the world aesthetic, the ruins of a city destroyed by the evils of man. That that it's so horrible that even the spirits kind of like the evil spirits that tried to escape. Like I think that very much represents something of post-war Japan in dealing with these kind of horrible realities. But then there's the nihilism that comes after, right? Of this, we're all seeing this from a different perspective. We all want to justify ourselves in the narratives that we tell about these events. You think about the kamikaze pilots, right? Who were kind of persuaded out of their kind of fealty to the powers that be to commit suicide in attacks. You have treatment of like POW camps in Japan. You have on the American side, you have like Japanese civilians being interned in these camps and basically imprisoned for an extended period of time with all their property taken away from them. You have the atomic bombs. Like this is all just like every perspective you look at, like everybody's horrible going on. Yeah. And you can make an argument about which one is like better than the other, but like in the end, it's all bad. Like, how do you even process anything after that?
They're all bad people.
And so I think that's like the main center of the story. Sorry, go ahead, Ren.
But yeah, that's how we prospectively see this film. Is you kind of have to look through the why it was directed. It's directed through the lens of World War II. Post bomb, big things happening. Everyone's kind of like, I don't really see any good in this world anymore. Everything's broken. Everything's bad. Same with Rashomon. Everything's bad. All these people are horrible people. Why do we care about any of their stories? They all seem like terrible people. Um, but through like the monk at least, and like other characters, we kind of recognize, well, there is still a deep-rooted good somewhere,
Mm-hmm.
and we need to be able to see that, and you will see that, and kind of leaves us with a little hope by the end that there is good.
Yeah. There's the I think the turning point for the film in a lot of ways is after the story is all told and they're all sitting there, like a baby begins to cry in behind a wall that you can't really see, and so they go and look, and kind of the commoner reveals his true character and begins to like steal from this abandoned infant, taking like clothes away and doing this, and the other two are just completely perplexed, like, how could you do this? Like, this is like the most evil thing you can think of, right? There's this abandoned infant, the most vulnerable person possible, basically. And he's like, that's just how it is, right? Everybody does this. We all take what we need, and you can't say you're any better than me because you stole that knife, right? It's this kind of pulling down of the moral structure of everything. It's just like all crumbling. And like, why try to build it up if it's all crumbling? It's too big for me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to help tear it down, because at least I can get something out of it.
Exactly. Yeah, that's like definitely it's strange to see the ultimate climax of a film be right at the end.
Yeah.
For this film, it's right there, and you see it through the commoner of, I'm going to steal this kimono because I need it. But I'm going to steal it from the most helpless being currently, and that's an infant child.
Well, and then
He's been abandoned.
His justification is that his parents abandoned him and were also selfish. As if that justifies
if that even
him.
helps. No. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's the logic we're dealing with currently. But then you have the monk who takes the child and wants to protect him.
Mm-hmm.
But then the woodcutter comes in and says, I'll take the child. I have many children of my own. It's not like it's going to be any different.
Yeah.
Adding
if you have 6 mouths
in.
to feed, was a seventh one at this point?
Yeah. And then leaves the woodcutter with the child, kind of leaving some hope for good.
Well, and then the rain ends, which I think is kind of.
And the rain ends.
And the sun comes out. Very, very. It's symbolic, but it's very kind of on the nose of like there is hope here, that this is the way forward.
Yeah, there is hope.
Is to actually, help the child.
Help the child and have some trust in people and belief in them, because like the monk for a good bit of there wasn't going to trust what this woodcutter was saying. He's already been lied to, so on and so forth, but inevitably he does trust the woodcutter and what he says, and allows him the grace and forgiveness, and takes the child and sees it can be a good.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, and then I think there's a distinction there made between people who, do bad things out of desperation and, tried to ask for forgiveness and should regret for it, and the people who do evil things and rely on the evilness of other people to justify what they do. That there is this kind of fundamental conflict of, a broken person who wants to be better, and somebody who does not seek to be better, but just wants to kind of get what they want out of it.
Get what they think is their just deserve.
Mm-hmm.
Versus the man who's, I need to feed a child, and I don't know, maybe stealing this will help. It's that moral conflict.
Yeah. Were there any other things that were were coming to your minds for this one?
I think going back to the woodcutter and the stories, I did notice this the second time. If you observe in the background the woodcutter during the dead man's story,
Mm.
like it's very interesting his reaction comparatively to the others. As it kind of goes into why he decides to reveal what he did, is if you watch him after the dead man says, well, the dagger was removed, but I don't know who took it. You see in the background the woodcutter's just slowly in a panic and a fit as he's like, I am the one who took it.
Yeah. You also pointed out something right there that made me think about how the progression of the stories are by like least trustworthy to most trustworthy to a certain amount. And maybe at least the way you kind of see it, right? You have the bandit and you have the woman, and these are the two surviving people. And it was almost as if we didn't even realize that the dead man could speak, right? And as soon as the dead man speaks, you're like, okay, I trust the dead man the most because he's the one who suffered the most. He's one of the people who was able to see something that no one else can say. And then we have the woodcutter who's a witness to the entire thing, and he's a third party. And it's this kind of progression almost of we don't even know who could be a witness next. Like it kind of is surprising every time of who could provide another perspective on this story.
Exactly. Like, and each story always has some element of truth to it.
Yeah.
There was some fight that happened, but maybe it wasn't this heroic fight that the bandit described. It was more
I forgot about that.
Yeah, maybe it's more of the scramble, realistic fight you see through the woodcutter's perspective. And was the samurai's expression like in dismay and disgust at the woman? Probably, and maybe not in the way the woman was describing. And could the woman have killed him? Maybe, but it could also have been just a happenstance of the samurai either killed himself or had died in the battle, actually. But he didn't want to admit that he died in battle because he's a samurai and he has pride.
Yeah. I think the key is the method of death. I think everybody said it in a way to kind of preserve the honor of the situation, right? Because except for the woodcutter who recounts it, and it's the most kind of, I wouldn't even say silly. It's just like it's this mad scramble for like winning this fight. Like there's no skill
grace
involved. It's very much like wildly swinging and just like desperate to win.
Animals going at it.
Yeah.
And it's kind of that.
It's more
that
like
funniness,
like a street fight than a traditional like film samurai duel.
Yep. It's kind of a fun one. I loved how Kurosawa did that.
Yeah.
It's like let's do this. And that was also him pointing fun at the heroism of like traditional samurai fights.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, I just want to make fun of this. And so,
yeah. Well, I mean, it's like the reality of war, right? To get back to some of the historical context, there's this romanticism about, you know, what battle is like, and I mean, this is all of like American cinema in the last, like war cinema in the last few years, which has been, like 30 years, which has all been like war is horrible and evil, and you think it's honorable, but then when you're in it, it's like dirty, gross, and people are dying, and you can't even see the person you're killing. Like that kind of perspective. That's kind of what's represented here, where everybody talking about the fight beforehand is talking about how like impressive it was, or that it never happened, But as soon as we see the fight through the eyes of the woodcutter, it's just this mad scramble just to win the fight. People who are desperate to live, who are just kind of like showing no skill or anything. They're just scrambling to get the advantage.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Yep. Paints a different perspective, and I like that. I liked this, but out of all the stories, like my question, who would you say was the most believable?
I think in the end we come to the woodcutter.
Yeah.
Because the woodcutter is able to finally admit, through some coercion to a certain event, I'll admit it, but he's able to admit what he left out. He's able to say, finally reach the end and say, you know what, I did steal the knife. I don't know if he actually says it, but it's very clear that he somewhat admits to it, to stealing the knife.
Yeah.
And so there is a certain point where we're able to see his perspective, but we don't get any of the internal dialogue of anybody else through that singular perspective. We don't see what's going through anybody's head. We can only see how they behave.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree. The woodcutter has the best perspective. Who would you think has whose perspective did you least like, or think was the more comical one?
I mean, I think the bandits is the one that's like least. How would I say it? Like it's the least believable. It's kind of the funniest in a lot of ways. Just because how much everything just kind of goes the way that he wants it to go. It's like his own vision of like what the perfect path is. Even there's a point towards the beginning where they talk about how he's captured, and the man who captures him says, you know, I found him fallen off his horse and he was on the ground, and he's laughing and he's saying, no, I would never fall off my horse. I got off my horse and basically crawled on the ground to drink from the lake. And that's how I ended up on the ground. Like there's this very like,
because he was having like diarrhea.
Yeah,
because he drank from a stream earlier which had probably a dead animal, and now he's experiencing food poisoning. He's withering on the ground from it.
But he's very like everything is kind of framed in the best light for him. Like he's like I was able to do everything I wanted. I was able to make everything perfect. I was able to win the fight with honor, and he was an impressive fighter, but I was a better fighter, and I was able to subdue him. And I think Kurosawa was also really skilled in this, where even knowing that that's the bandit's kind of perspective, it's still kind of believable. Like there is a certain point where I'm like, I could see this happening. Like it's not completely out of the question. But as soon as we get the other kind of witnesses, every witness, whenever they share, is again like it's on the reliability. And so if you only have the least reliable one, it's like, okay, I guess we're gonna take that witness. But as we get more, I kind of trust the next person who shares. I'm like, oh, that they're probably the one who's in the right. And maybe it's like some stuff of the last person's like somewhat okay, but like I believe this person the most.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely do agree. And then the woman's perspective, I would say it's the most like not out of line, but most curious one, because it doesn't align a lot with more so the rest of the stories. Maybe more so with the Dead Man's.
It strays in the literal events, but in the personal emotional experience that she had, I think it did carry some of that. Is this look like processing that look of resentment from the man and trying to find out like where this is. That relationship is a dumpster fire though. And when you see like the other stuff where they're like, oh, I was just looking for an excuse to get away from you, and both of them are kind of like That's like at the core of it, is that they're both trying to find a way out of this relationship, this marriage, this partnership of some sort. And they both
And
see the
it's
bandit
like
as an excuse to do that. It's
it's the
like, this is
bandit that,
evil.
yeah. So it's not a good relationship in any ways. 12th century Japan. Oh, you got it. Or just Japan in general during that time. I don't know. But it was definitely wild. I definitely found that interesting just to watch.
I
And
found
then the outfits, I would say, too. Like, eyebrows, man. Eyebrows.
or lack thereof.
The lack thereof. The, the quotation mark of eyebrow.
What stuck out to me was the scene early on where the bandit encounters the woman for the first time, and the language he uses. I want to say, I'm going to misquote this, but it's something along the lines of, if the wind hadn't blown the way it did, none of this would have happened. And he's kind of sitting there trying to sleep. The samurai and the woman are passing by, but then a kind of a breeze catches him. He gets a smell, some sort of smell off the woman. I don't know what type of smell. I'm not gonna guess if it was perfume or whatever, but
It was
he gets
bacon.
a smell.
I don't know.
He looks, and then the woman's veil is kind of blown open, so he gets to peek at her, and that's kind of the moment of like he's so, even in his own description of himself, he's very animalistic. Like, he kind of just does stuff to do stuff. He's like, I wanted it, so I took it, or I wanted to drink from the stream, so I just drank from the stream, not realizing that, like, you know, there could be something upstream that would cause me diarrhea, right? Like, there's like, he just kind of lives that life, just doing whatever he wants, taking what he wants, and doing that. And it was just interesting to process that.
And I think a fascinating thing of what I heard, because Kurosawa, each one of these stories kind of described to his actors, this is what animal you are. Act as if you're this animal.
Oh, okay.
And so, like, could you kind of guess where the first scene he's taking told him what animal what the bandit was? I'm just kind of curious.
I mean, I could see like a boar. Like, I think a boar kind of reflects it, but he sits on his back, so I would say, like, I could also see some sort of like orangutan or something, like the way that he kind of like.
So, the first movement, he was described to take on the role of a lion.
Oh, okay. I could see that. Like a lounging lion in the sun. There's a certain kind of element.
So
of
the
that.
first time it was the lion, and then the second time or third time he was basically a monkey. He became a monkey.
Yeah, you can see that in his movements. He very much has, like, you know, his arms out. He's kind of scrambling and doing stuff. I could see that. Then what were the other characters given? Because I think about the samurai. I think there is kind of a stag element of the samurai.
Yeah, I think so.
He's very,
They
like,
didn't
straight,
describe
upright.
they didn't describe the other animals, but it kind of got me on to thinking what the other animals would be for them. I agree with you on stag for at least the samurai. But what would the would you make it a flamingo for the woman, or
I would almost say it's like
know.
I would go back and forth. I think about crane.
Crane? Yeah,
Similar to flamingo.
yeah,
But then I also think about some sort of like bird that's kind of like on the edge, like a raven or something. Like, there's like a certain element of like a scavenger bird that kind of comes out later on. In her kind of,
she's got the bird kind of going for her right now. Like, like, I can get the scavenger bird. She's kind of like almost a raven.
she's
in
kind
her
of
story.
scrambling towards the end, like like trying to find something to rely on. And there is kind of like a scavenger element to that, of like trying to take whatever she can get.
Yeah. I would almost give the woodcutter the boar almost.
Okay. Could see that. Interesting.
Yeah.
That adds a lot of perspective to some of the stuff. I know, like, iconically, Kurosawa, is very into, like, how do you make it so there's a character and you can recognize the character by just the way they walk. Yojimbo is kind of like the again, iconic, like, vision of this, where whenever he walks, he kind of moves his shoulders, and there's a very iconic, like, way that he exists as a character, and so kind of carrying that vision to other films.
It also helps that him as an actor, the guy who plays Yojimbo, plays the bandit, has a lot of movement to him.
Mm-hmm.
He's a very exaggerative actor.
Yeah.
That's why he's one of my favorites in, like, any Kurosawa film. It's him and the woodcutter.
Yeah.
Because as you remember, woodcutter's in Ikaru.
Yep. I think it's so fascinating to see the it would be really easy to take these actors who do one of these roles so well and to kind of continue to cast them into those roles. But even from the little bit of Akira Kurosawa I've seen, to see these actors, whenever they come back, they're playing a completely different kind of role. Like, once a samurai, and who is kind of a trickster, but then there's, in this movie, he's a bandit. Ikiru is this old man who is, processing, going through cancer diagnosis. And in this film, he's like a common woodcutter who's kind of processing the evil of the world, but he's also a family man, right?
And also, like, I found out, and do remember him, the samurai was in the Seven Samurai. So all these guys were have reoccurring roles in Kurosawa films. And that's kind of how he played it for a long time. It's like a lot of these actors he would use reoccur in a lot of his films, which kind of makes it more interesting to watch through his filmography, because you're like, oh, he was in that film, but also that film, playing a different role entirely. It's like he doesn't cookie cutter a role for a certain actor. He's like, I just like you, so I'm gonna put you in this film, but you're gonna be a woodcutter. This one, you're gonna be the main character, and you're gonna be an old dude dying. Or this one, you're a heroic samurai. This one, you're just a lame bandit.
That's what I really love about a lot of my favorite directors, or the, like, they're able to take, like, these people that they love partnering with, but they find actors who can do so many different roles. I think about the Coen brothers, for example.
Yep.
They have a few actors that they kind of consistently partner with on a lot of their films, but they always cast them in very unique and different roles, and always find, I think Kurosawa does this too, like these actors who are kind of weird looking, or I don't know how else to say it, but they just fit a part so well, and they're just this, like, little side character, but they just have so much, like, texture, and I don't even know how else to say it. It's just, they just play that part so well. I think about, I know we're talking about different movies now, but like in Yojimbo, there's the guy who is the mayor, and he's the one who's, like, clanging the board to say that it's noon, and he just kind of weaselly. He's this weaselly politician kind of guy who's kind of getting up. He's kind of pathetic, but he kind of does whatever he can to get ahead, and it's just played, like, perfectly. Like, I couldn't imagine anybody else kind of playing that character. He just he's a look to him. But
yeah, I love that. This what I think attracts us to Kurosawa. And, like, if you want to, like, start on a Kurosawa journey, you kind of have to start with Rashomon because it's the most Kurosawa-esque film. Like, it really kind of gets you into understanding what Kurosawa is. It's like when you're watching Coen Brothers and you start with, like, what would you say? I almost would go, would you say Big Lebowski, or would you say, like...
I think it's one of those things where you kind of have to find a spot to, like, whatever is closest to you.
I almost say it was Fargo was my...
Fargo's a solid one. I think Blood Simple, even if you want to start at the very beginning, it's kind of a solid, weird little movie. I don't know if you've seen it, but I
don't think I've seen that one yet.
It's a good one.
I've seen a good handful. It's like when you get into directors, and it kind of gets into why I like this film, is like it's a director's film,
mm-hmm.
and it gets you into a director's mindset during a film shoot. And I think that's what I enjoy about Kurosawa. He's a director you watch for him and what he has to present, like the Coen brothers, like Tarantino.
Well, they have a voice, I think, is like the key.
They have a voice, and you're like, okay, I'm interested in what they have to present.
Yeah.
And so in this perspective, it's like good versus evil, relative of reality, what's true, what's not. And it's like even him as a director is questioning this through the film, and you see his voice in the film itself. It's not like you're watching a fast movie and you're like, well, they jumped the car between one tower to another.
Yeah.
Cool. But where's the director's voice? Does director's voice say big boom? Like,
it's about family.
It's about family, you know? But where's the director's voice in this film, essentially?
Yeah.
Like, I don't think Fast Furious films, I don't think of the director. No offense to whoever the director or directors have been. But it's like, it's very similar to me. It's like, when I watch a Kurosawa film, I know it's a Kurosawa film.
Yeah, there's a style there that's just very, very him.
Yeah.
One thing I wanted to bring up too is the different sets used in this film.
Yeah.
There are 3 sets, which is wild to me. Basically, maybe you could say like 4 or 5 if you count the different places in the woods. But it's pretty sparse and very little like set design needed for this, except for kind of the iconic like Rashomon gate. Like that's probably the most complex and expensive piece of anything in this film. But
yeah, that's probably what they spent most of the money on, was building that structure. And or I wonder if
it could be pre-existing. I don't know, but
yeah, that's what I'm wondering. I should look into. But it could have been pre-existing structure. They just said, let's use that. Because it was Japan. Japanese architecture was falling apart during the time, so very well could be. But anyway, it's the most extravagant set.
Yeah.
Regardless. Whereas the stories in the woods was literally shot in the woods. They just went into some woods and just said, here we go.
Yeah.
And it was like, Kurosawa was directing his like cinematographer, hey, shoot this weird angle up from the bottom of their feet. Shoot from their head. Shoot from here. Let's just put it all over. I want to get the
section where they're just kind of like moving the camera in different perspectives.
Well, you have this long section of the first time we meet the woodcutter, and he's giving the story. He's like, such a long perspective of him just walking through the woods to finally find the dead body. Like how long it took them to get there. You see literally the axe, which I'm impressed by that they are able to catch it, but the axe just shining and reflecting off the light during that scene and just going through it. But such a long shot to do through dense populated woods.
I think there is an element of, I do like the idea of he's walking through the woods. It has this kind of happy music-ish. And he's just kind of doing his thing. He's going about his day. And then you kind of get into it and you just kind of like fall into it. And you're like, oh yeah, like this is fine. and then like he comes across the body, and it's just like this like I don't know how to put it other than like the Alfred Hitchcock kind of like wow wow, or like maybe it's Jaws where like the camera zooms in on his face in shock. That there's this kind of moment of like, oh, this is not normal. This is something's very wrong.
Yeah, and the idea of when you're watching this, you're watching it as like a silent film when you're watching this scene. But you're also having to imagine the woodcutter's telling the story. So he's detailing all of these things. He's like, yeah, I was walking through the woods, kept walking through the woods. So he's like explaining this. And so you're like, have to think, oh, he's explaining this as we're watching him do this. But we're not hearing him explain the story, but he's telling a story at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And same with like a lot of the other scenes. You get the long scene of the bandit in taking the samurai on this journey to find the swords to eventually tie him up. Pretty roundabout way just to tie up some dude. And I don't know why the samurai believed him, but he was hopeful.
You remind me too of something. There's like a bumper sticker that you'll see around, and I don't claim to know where the bumper sticker comes from or what exactly who it originated with, but it says film is truth. And I think one of the key parts about this film is that things that we see on screen aren't necessarily true, and that's kind of like the thing that breaks away from the how do you say it, the traditional way to understand films is that, you know, if you see something on screen, it happened, right? I see the person throw a bottle at somebody else, that definitely happened. And to have something that is kind of this early in film history, like relatively, and I'm not an expert, so someone can correct me if there are other cases of this, but I think it is kind of important, is that we tell these stories, and in telling the stories, we're showing everything that's happening. We're showing an explanation of their story, but it's not true. But it helps us to lean into the story that's being told. That we're like, I believe it because I saw it. But seeing isn't the same thing as it actually having happened, which I think is...
Seeing is not necessarily believing.
Yeah.
That's a great movie quote. Seeing is not believing. Where's that one? That sounds like Spy Kids.
It does sound like Spy Kids. I don't know.
I don't know. I feel like that's where I got that one from. Great films. Dumb films, but great films.
I don't know. Is it Robert Rodriguez? I think it's Robert who made all those films, and man, he has a brain that does not work like many other people's.
No, and then he makes Machete, and you're like, what? Who are you?
I still haven't seen his direct to Netflix Spy Kids movie. I'm too scared.
No,
to watch
nor
it, to
have
be honest.
Honestly, I can't. I live in the past of like just accept that Spy Kids was what it was. Like Spy Kids 1 through 3 was it, and then we had Shark Boy and Lava Girl, and that's it. We're good. Be happy with that. We don't need anything more.
Fair.
Especially Spy Kids 2. That is peak child cinema.
It's up there.
Even though Spy Kids 1's terrified me for a little while with the finger people.
It's a horrifying film. The
like,
Spy Kids 3, I think, has a special place in my heart, even though it's not a good movie. It's
no, it's not. It has a special place in my heart too. But we all have to agree, Spy Kids 2 was like better in maybe more coherent way. But Spy Kids 3 is like, hey, that's the guy.
I will say Spy Kids 1 had the kind of the raw imagination, which it was just out there. I don't know how
people.
How did he get
all
the money to make that film?
I don't know, but it's like all practical effects, and you're like,
Well,
what
there are a
is
lot of
happening?
computer
There are,
generated too.
yeah, but
It's a
there's a lot of
combination, but
like, you're like still impressed for like a weird.
I
It's
mean,
like
early 2000s, like it was.
it was like a weird, like even more of a Pee Wee's Playhouse. You're like, what is going on?
Yeah.
Love it. I think that's what the magic of Rashomon is.
I love how like there's gonna be
Is
no
that
one who
it?
gets this far. They're gonna like tune out like much earlier, and they're gonna miss the Spy Kids. That's where we can hide everything. We can talk about anything now, and no one will know.
No. Yeah, no. Rashomon just keeps bringing in. I think that's what I like about this film. It makes me want to appreciate film more
Hmm.
because it makes me question this film.
Yeah.
Makes me kind of think of like you can go into all the details of what happened in this film, kind of like we did in Ikaru, but does it really have a point to that? I would say not, because you're like, who is true? Well, not a lot of people were really being true. You can say who's the most truthful. That'd be the woodcutter. Um, but in the end, the truth is, who do you believe? How do you believe in good by the end? How do you trust in people, humanity again, and build this trust? And it's through this infant that we see it again, bring back into that. It's like we need to be able to allow ourselves to trust.
Yeah.
And it's, I would say, one of the most strangely Christian films we see from Kurosawa
Yeah.
in the perspective of good and evil. Because here we see clear good and evil, but it's also gray. We can allow there to be gray in the world, but there's a hard good and there's a hard evil.
And
And we can
sometimes
make
we
a
get lost
judgment
in the
based on
gray. I think that's part of it too, right?
yeah,
When you're in the
that's
gray, you
we
kind
get
of
lost.
you don't know which way is up and which way is down.
Yeah, we can get lost in the gray, but there's really truly one good and one evil.
Hmm.
It's that in between we can get lost in sometimes and we get confused about. And we can debate all we want about these gray issues. But
If you want me to
in
get
clear
totally
motive,
crazy Christian with this, I think like the the main symbolism of an infant bringing hope into the world.
yeah,
I think there's like
it's
there's little
like,
stuff like that where I'm like, oh, interesting. And you know,
yeah,
in a time where there is kind of deep brokenness and confusion about what is
pain,
good and what is
death,
right, and it's
yeah.
the infant that brings the clarity. That feels so
It's,
Christian to me. Like I don't know.
yeah,
Yeah.
no, I agree. Like, the child, like, Christ was a child, brought hope into the world despite sacrificing himself for the world.
Hmm.
But he is a child that brought hope. And same with every infant we see. It's a life brought before us. It's new life. And it's like, we need to preserve this. We need to hold it dear. We can't treat it like the commoner of like, I just need this thing. I'm not really caring about this, but we need to treat it like the woodcutter and the monk of like, what do we do? How do we preserve this? Like,
Yeah.
I have 6 children. Seventh doesn't make a difference for me.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
I think too about again I can go off the end like the deep end of symbolism if we really want to, but the commoner taking the clothes off the child, that there is this element of the stripping of the clothes off of Christ, that each they took his tunic and they it had no seam and they divided it amongst themselves, right? There's this kind of taking the what little the most vulnerable has and kind of taking it for yourself. I guess they didn't rip it. They cast lots for it, but there is like this element
They
of
cast
like
lots, yeah.
just taking what you want from from him, and that comes to mind too.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. That's a good perspective to put in. But it's a strangely Christian film without really being Christian, I would say. Just you can see a lot of Christian symbolism be mixed in.
And it's a lot of what
true.
I think Christians think about too. Like, I think that's part of it as well. It's processing a lot of the same questions that are brought up in a lot of like other works. Like, I see a bit of like Boethius in this, and I don't know, maybe a little bit of like Job too. I think there is like a touch of Job, and so you get a lot of those processing. And I think this is an interesting companion piece too to Ikiru, where Ikiru is about almost like the personal responsibility in the face of injustice, and is all very much on the personal level. Rashomon is kind of reflecting on the cultural evil and doesn't really talk about the personal responsibility as much, but just says like, what is the way forward? How do we deal with this?
Yeah. How do we live as a society with each other?
Mm-hmm.
How can we live together? Versus how can I live personally? It's how do we live with our own fellow men when we have so much distrust, so much brokenness in this world?
Yeah.
It's just painted very clearly to us. It's like we're allowed to live.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is an interesting quote from the monk, if I remember right.
Mm-hmm.
If you have faith, then you have something. I just remember taking that as a note.
A note I have again towards the very end is when confronted with evil, either you give in or you do the best with what you have. And another note I have here, and this is kind of what I was trying to get at towards the very beginning, is the twists and lies are not the message. It is the senseless hope in the face of a broken and evil world.
Yeah.
And it's like there is no... We're never given a reason why we should trust one another throughout this film, right? Everybody is lying. Everybody is broken.
Yep.
But the monk still kind of points and says, I don't have anything else. Like, you have to be able to trust somebody, or it's kind of pointless.
Yeah. It's that perspective of faith, like he's saying. It's like, you have to have faith in something. Like, if you're just like the commoner, it's like, oh, there's no hope. There's nothing. There's no good. Kind of live a sad life. Just running into the rain and running through. Whereas you have trust, you have good, and you allow that trust to happen, the sun will come out for you. It will be there.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah,
I like that.
I think that'll be a good. I think the goal is to try to make a video out of this one as well. We'll see if whatever corporation owns these films will finally let me post any of these, but.
Maybe
we'll find out.
See.
I might try to mix it up. I might do some camera work for this and see if putting my face in it will help avoid any copyright detector or whatever gets in the way.
Yeah.
But...
Well, the last one was done with Criterion, so that might not help. So
it wasn't Criterion who claimed it though. It was Toho.
Was it Sony?
So
Toho.
We'll see.
You know, it's Japanese and their copyright. They're really on it.
I put in a whatever, the message to say, hey, like, can you take back your copyright claim? And they're supposed to get back to me in 30 days. But I've read some places that some companies will reject it at the last second, basically. So we'll see. But
let's see.
We're coming up on I think in a couple weeks. It'll get posted anyway, and it could be visible in America if they take it back, or it could only be visible in Afghanistan or something. So We'll find out.
Only visible in Afghanistan.
Literally, it says like, oh,
I
if
love.
you because of this copyright claim, it's invisible in these countries, and it lists like every country. It's like the United States, France, the UK, Mexico, like Cuba, South America, and maybe not Cuba, but like any place in South America, any place in Europe, and it's like, okay,
Whatever. Yeah,
it'll be
that's the
fun.
fun of it. We'll just put in this one. The background is you playing. What's your favorite game right now from
I've been playing a lot of
Hideo
Elden Ring.
Kojima?
We could do
You
oh
playing
from
Elden
Kojima.
Ring? Yeah.
We'll get some Metal Gear Solid 5 gameplay in there. We'll do that.
Yeah.
That'll be fun.
We'll
But
kind of mix it up, make it like the Jakey videos where he's just throwing in random clips from
Disney
the
movies,
whatever
and
Disney movies. We'll throw in Spy Kids in the background of this one.
luckily the podcast I'll just do something random so it doesn't get blocked. But the video essay we'll just throw Spy Kids randomly throughout it.
Spy Kids is just randomly thrown in the background, finger people.
I'll make it black and white so no one really notices unless they're paying attention.
And they'll be just confused and be like, why is there Spy Kids 2 in black and white in the background? And they listen to this, they're like, what? Why? Splashes of Conan Brother films splashed in there. Like, isn't this about Rashomon?
No,
we don't. No.
it's not.
News about directors.
But yeah, I think that covers most of what we were gonna talk about. So thank you all for joining. We'll probably close this off for now, and have a good rest of your day, everybody. See you in the future.
Right, have a good one, everyone. Bye.
Bye.